punch him for free. These goddamn smug sons of bitches. They just do that. They never did shit. Take away from it. Is the moral you're supposed to punch each other? Like, is that what we're learning?
All right, Avery. We just got finished up casting the Riyadh Western European Qualifier Day 1. And so Riyadh is currently going on, or the qualifiers for Riyadh. Obviously, we know that Western Europe isn't anywhere close to being done. We still have 2 more days to go through, but some of the other regions are actually already done, or at least halfway done. And I figure that's the best part to start off, is the fact that, well, I think the biggest story is Southeast Asia. We had Aurora, who, you know, the team with Lornoff and Jabs and 23 Savage, they made it through first place. Well done. They killed it. They dropped a game against Neon Esports, but then they 2-0'd TNC. They 2-0'd Talon in the upper bracket finals. Very fast game, so seems very well deserving, very clear cut. They are the best team in Southeast Asia,
and they beat all their old orgs to do it. So congrats to them. Mm-hmm. You know, the old Vengeance tour. Very satisfying. I don't know if there's that much org beat, but honestly in C there probably is. So yeah, credit to them. You know, they proved they were right. Talon was left in the dust, apparently.
And then we had second place. The matchup was Talon Esports versus Blacklist International. So who was right between Abed and Gabbi? Turns out teamwork was right, Avery. It turns out forgiveness was right. It turns out love was right.
It turns out that if you are left enough, you end up going in a circle and you're back onto the right side. That's all I've learned, is that they were both right as a product of someone being so wrong. You know, it begs, you know, black eye rivalry, as I call them. They're back together. Can't call them it anymore. They're reunited. They've forgiven their grievances. It was that quickly, from 1 week to punching each other disband to hugging each other into victory, into 5 million prize pool tournament for first place. That's Dota 2. That's Dota 2. And you know what it is? When you win, everything's honky-dory. When you're losing, it's time to disband. That's all it is. Those are the extremes of Dota, and there's no in-between. Winning fixes everything. Famous quote. Somebody said it. I'm going to quote Eternal Envy 2016. Winning fixes everything, you know? It's just true. Like, when you're winning in Dota, everything's easy. Everybody gets along. The org's happy. The players are happy. The coach is happy. Your girlfriend's happy. Your mom's happy. She's always happy, but that's a different question. But when you're losing... It all sucks, right? You all hate each other. You want to disband. This guy needs to be kicked. This guy's the weak link. It's just a nightmare. And I've never really figured out why it oscillates between those extremes. I'm always curious if it extends to all the other competitive arenas in the world. I assume it does. I assume it's like the same thing. You're on an NBA team or you're on a hockey team or something. When you're losing, it's just like, get me the hell out of here. I want to murder everybody. And then the instant you win like 3 games in a row, it's just like, yeah, I knew we were the greatest of all time. For sure. I always believed in you. You know, it's like, it's always insane how much the competitive atmosphere brainwashes you into these ideas, in a sense. Like, does this relationship between Abed and Gabbi, is it actually good? Did they resolve it? Maybe they did. We don't know. I'm not gonna speculate.
After they won, they did a team hug, and the first 2 that had a hug were Abed and Gabbi. So
yeah, but okay, I'll say something on that video. I watched that video. That was like the weakest post-win team hug I've ever seen in my life. It was like a little side hug, you know? Everybody's just like tapping each other on the shoulder, like a little like, oh, good job. There's like some weak ass hugs. I don't know. Maybe they're tired. They're probably exhausted. You know, I've been there. My team hugs were pretty bad too, but like, I don't know. That was not a believable one. You know, that was not like we overcame our difficulties and reunited. So I still have some questions about the integrity of the relationships on this roster. I'll say it. But hey, they got the dub. So when you're winning, it's all gravy, man. Just keep it rolling. There ain't no problem here. Pass me by, Chief.
I mean, it was a rough day for them because they lost to Aurora. They got absolutely shellacked. And they go into lower bracket final. They lose the first game against Talon. And then they go into game 2 and it goes 50 minutes. So, there's potential there. Maybe they get 2-0 2 games in a row, but when the darkest hour, the dawn's right around the corner, Blacklist pull it out. They get the second game win. They cruise through and the game 3 win. And, this whole story just reminds me of another team that I believe Jack Chen said had a physical confrontation before a big tournament. Right? Wings, all the way back in the day, apparently had a scuffle all the way back before they went on to win the international. So maybe this is just how teams power up. You got to get through the adversity to make your team stronger.
Yeah, that is. That's good. I can confirm that. I don't know if that team cares anymore. It's ancient history at this point. But yeah, that team was basically at the point of fist fighting, like physical violence was threatened or whatever, and then they won TI. So yeah. I remember being the question at the time of like, how do you reconcile these two, right? Because how can a team that with apparently that much dysfunction that they're at each other's throats go to win the international? And what do you as a team trying to do that the next year take away from that? Is the moral you're supposed to punch each other? Like, is that what we're learning from Dota? If you punch the other guy in the face, you're going to win a championship? Like, what was the takeaway, right? And a lot of people had different takeaways at that time. And I think a lot of people have different takeaways looking back now compared to what they had at the time. But I think my biggest takeaway over the years has been that you actually need some amount of conflict within your team to succeed. Now, I'm not saying violence is the answer. Violence is never the answer, even though sometimes it is. We go back to that.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is.
But what that means to me is not. You should never have physical violence, but you do need some conflict within a successful championship team. It can't all just be everybody agreeing all the time and patting each other on the back. And your idea is great, and let's go with this. Then you just become a communal think tank that all is the same prophecy, and you fulfill it. And guess what? That prophecy you all fulfilled is you're going to lose because you're not driving any sort of growth within the team atmosphere. Nobody's struggling. Nobody's fighting against each other to try and be the best or improve. You need some sort of that level of conflict to drive ideas and to drive progression, or you become stagnant. Even if you win once, you're just going to lose after that because you just become complacent. Like, there's nothing to push people to get better, right? That's the type of conflict that I'm talking about that you need within a team. And sometimes that conflict extends to people get really emotionally invested and they want to punch each other. And, you shouldn't condone that. You shouldn't get to that point. But humans are humans. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to get invested. And that is a consequence of having that conflict in a team. But it does not inherently mean that conflict is all bad, right? And I think a lot of times in the past, people have tried to build Dota teams with the boys. There was this old philosophy of like, I'm going to play with my boys and have a good old team where everybody gets along. We're all friends with each other. And, I remember there was an EG roster that was constructed with that idea. It was like one of those Sumail. It was basically Sumail wanted all his boys on the squad, Arteezy, Universe, Zai, Crit. I think that was that original team. And they actually did pretty well because obviously that team had just a fuck ton of talent. Like, they probably
I feel like Sumail's version of the boys are like, he's only friends with good Dota players, Well,
yeah, because that's who he grew up playing with, in that atmosphere. But it was one of the flaws, I think, in the end on that team is like that team had some trouble resolving conflicts. Now, some of that was, people butting heads and all that, and they still did very well as a team. But it does make me think that sometimes people have this idea of if I could just be on a team with everybody I get along with, and nobody that I have personal beef with or nobody that I disagree with or can't figure stuff out, that's the best atmosphere to succeed. And I feel like it's a trap. Like, it's a trap sometimes. Sometimes the best version for you on a team or what you need to grow and improve is to play with people that you disagree with on certain things in the right way that are going to push you, right? That doesn't mean you just disagree with some guy, you hit an impasse, nothing happens. I mean, that's equally bad. But like, if some guy pushes your buttons, but in the end, you both get better because of it, that's a good teammate in some ways. Now you have to figure the other stuff out on top of that. But like, that is like old snaking, for example, right? Like, this guy pushed people's buttons, but he also made those teams better that he was on because of it. Like, he constantly made people think about what they're doing and how to do it better, even if in the way he did that was absolutely batshit insane and made you want to jump out the window. Like, I mean, that's just life sometimes. I don't know. You need someone like Snay on your team. That's just how it goes.
Better question, Avery. would you be willing to punch one of your teammates for a chance at winning TI?
I'd punch him for free. These goddamn smug sons of bitches. They never did shit. If I could go back in time, I'd punch them more often, honestly. A couple of them deserved it as well.
Avery's the guy with the 2 red button meme. Instead of sweating, he's just jamming. He's just punching that button over.
Yeah, why do you think I've been
again.
working out this last year, bro? I gotta get to that level where I can do it and not be afraid of the retaliation. Like, you can't be some scrawny little nerd and go around kicking people's ass. You gotta be the top dog on the team. So
do I have to be concerned now? Am I gonna go to the next LAN and you're gonna be like, you need to step your fucking game up?
Maybe. No, I'm not saying it, but you should be watching yourself. That's all I'm saying. Performance starts slacking. There's gonna be some conflict. I'm gonna bring it up.
Well, it's a good thing I'm always on my A game. Some of the other regions we can talk about real quickly. We got Eastern Europe. Virtus.pro made it through. Navi made it second. So Navi did not manage to squeak through. Instead, the squad of Kiritich, Squadix, Noticed, Antares, and FNG. I mean, I'm always happy for FNG to make it through. I like seeing that guy succeed.
And that guy's a qualifier beast, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, that guy has been qualifying for shit for a decade now. He's just the qualifier master.
Yeah.
Has that interregional stuff figured out. Land performances vary a lot more, but that is a young VP squad that still has a lot of promise, and I think has shown glimpses of they're very capable of taking series on land. He's a veteran captain. They have the pieces. It's an interesting squad. I'm not saying they're going to like win Riyadh or anything, but I don't think that's just a throwaway team where you can like underestimate them and you're not going to drop some games or a series. Like they are a threat. So well-deserved victory for them. They played pretty damn well in those games. Looked pretty good. That Navi squad had a lot of momentum too, but they will fall a little short. And, you know, you got to be thinking about like these TI quals out of Eastern Europe as well, where they have only the one slot because so many of their teams got the invite, right? Betboom and Spirit just get the direct invite. That's going to be a tough qualifier, like a really tough qualifier. I mean, this Riyadh one is tough, but TI comes with its own little pressure, and that is going to be a really tough qualifier for one spot. Like, I know everybody's looking at Western Europe and all this jazz, but man,
I do wonder if I just had this conversation with Quinn, Insania, AUI about like the difference in pressure between Riyadh and TI, and it seemed like the conclusion was TI is still its own beast. They got into it to win TI. I do wonder if that's different though for the teams that are not, no offense to these guys, but they're not, their goal is not to win these events. Their goal is to get to these events, right? I wonder if that's different when your goal isn't, maybe your big goal is, but like realistically, are you going to TI and winning TI? Probably not. Are you going to TI and looking to get like top 8, top 6? Then in that regard, is surely the prize money would then take much more of a hold because you're not fighting for a title, right?
Oh, like, yeah, 100%.
So
I don't think any of them
wonder,
would deny that. I mean, they might deny it because they want to have confidence they're going to win something, but like 1,000% at the end of the day. I mean, the best thing about TI back in the day and why we valued it so highly is because we are if you're some trash NA team like we were, and you're not getting top 3 at all these lands, you get top 8 or top 12 at TI, you make more than you would get making top 3 at all these majors. Like, you just made your yearly salary getting top 12. That's all it took. That's absolutely huge, right? It's like it's the light at the end of the despair NA jail tunnel that you climb through that pipe in Shawshank Redemption, right? You climb through this shit pipe for 1,000 miles. That's it. That's what's at the end of that tunnel is Gabe with a suitcase. That's it. That's all you're hoping for, you know? And then even if you lose, even if you get 12th or you get 8th and people are like, oh, another bad performance for NA, you're like, okay, yeah, but I just made a 6-figure salary for the year off this tournament and I wasn't getting paid. Some of those years you weren't even getting paid a salary in NA, or your NA salaries, whatever, right? That was it. That is what you get. So if that is gone at TI, which it is now, it's absolutely gone. There's no DPC money anymore either. I mean, it's Riyadh, baby. Like, you got to get that top 8 at Riyadh now to get some of that yearly salary bump for a lot of these teams. So it is absolutely huge. If I'm a team like Virtus.pro, or I'm a team like Blacklist Rivalry, or I'm a South American team like Heroic, right? These teams that are in that middle slot between the tier 3 and tier 1, somewhere in there, I almost rather go to Riyadh than TI at this point. I don't want to say I would choose that because TI is still TI, and you should always have the confidence that, you could get a top 3, a top 2 at TI. You're trying to win in Aegis. That's what it's about. So you're never going to say that. But like in the back of your mind, it's there, man. Like, maybe we're not going to win it all. So I'd rather get the top 6 at Riyadh than the top 6 at TI, where maybe that prize pool makes a huge difference in my life. And I don't think that's greedy thinking or bad thinking. It's just like, I don't know. It's realistic, right? You have to look
when you
at these
all
things
in on
pragmatically.
something, you want it to pay off
Exactly.
in some ways, and financially paying off, that would be Riyadh.
Yeah, I think it's almost easy. Like if you're on one of these teams, these Western European teams where these guys are earning crazy salaries, right? You're making well over 6 figures a year, guaranteed, plus doing well at a lot of these tournaments, getting invites. They deserved it. They've worked there. I'm not taking anything away from that, but that's a very different situation to be like, I'd rather go to TI than Riyadh than for these guys who've maybe been playing on South American teams and not getting paid anything for like 3 years, and now you have a shot. Like, it's just not comparable, right? So you have to take that into account.
China, the other big region, one of the biggest regions for when it comes to the contention for winning events, had no invited teams for TI, and they did have you're right, they did have XG for both TI and for Riyadh.
Yep.
And Extreme, they go through. China has 3 slots for the Riyadh qualifiers. Is that the same for TI qualifiers?
I think they only have 2. I think you can only have 2 max.
Okay.
So only 16 teams.
That qualifier is currently going on. It's halfway through, and one team is already qualified, G2IG. So I'm sure Jack
legendary
Chen is
manager. Jack Chen. Dude, this guy's been playing so many pubs a day. I'm going to give him a shout out. Guys, if you don't know Jack Chen, legendary manager of G2IG right now, this guy is playing. I looked at the other day. This guy played so many pubs in 24 hours. I messaged him that I'm concerned for his health. Like, he needs help. Guys, help this guy. Like, this guy puts other managers to shame. I'll give him that. His dedication to the craft and to the game. No one comes
his
close.
craft is not
no
to
one
play
comes
the
close.
game.
No, don't underestimate his craft, bro. This man out here playing 27, 28 pubs in 24 hours. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating, guys. You can go look at this man's Dota.
That's a real number.
He is insane, bro. I've never seen someone put up those kind of levels, those kind of numbers. I mean, this man's like the LeBron James of pubbing. This guy's just dropping 30-point triple doubles in pub score in a day. Like, what these are all-star numbers, MVP level pub scoring out here by the man Jack Chen. And like 10 of those are like Veno games. This man plays like 10 Veno games, and that's not even half the games he played in a day. Like, I don't even know where to start with that, but someone needs to get that man some help. I'm concerned. Reach out to him. Message him on Twitter, message him on Steam. I don't know. Somebody get this man some help. But my point is, I am not surprised that G2IG made it through that qualifier. Because when your manager is playing 30 pubs a day, you think Baboka's sitting there like looking over his shoulder? Like, holy shit, this guy's still in a game? I went to sleep for 12 hours. He's still playing. Like, you better try your ass off, I'll tell you that much. Because you're getting shown up by your manager right now. That's embarrassing. Yeah. So damn good they made it through.
I always hear that you need to have a workhorse on a team. Just like you're talking about, you need to have conflict. You need to have a workhorse on a team, right? That somebody may not be the star player, but that somebody is the guy who's going to try really hard and motivate other people to try really hard.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes it'd be your manager.
Sometimes it'd be your manager.
Know,
just
one
addicted.
Of a kind. One of a kind. Oh yeah. People don't like to talk about like Dota as an addiction, but it absolutely is, right? It's a dopamine rush that you come back to for the highs that you're eventually going to get. Like, yeah, maybe you lose a lot of games, but the thing about Dota is you're eventually also going to win, right? Eventually you'll get that dub. Doesn't matter. You just keep playing, you will eventually get that dub, and it will taste like sweet, sweet victory for sure. Like, it will taste good. So it's guaranteed eventually. If you just keep putting coins in the machine, eventually it'll spit something out. That is the game of Dota 2. So you do need that workhorse for sure, but there are limits for your own mental health. Please, moderation. That's all I ask.
G2IG beat Kev to get that. So Kev is now in the lower bracket. That's the team with Red Panda and Undyne. The other side of the upper bracket, there is going to be a matchup later today in about 12 hours of LGD versus Azure, which Azure is probably the favorites there. So that's kind of the remaining teams for the top floor. There's some lower bracket teams, but I kind of assume G2IG, Azure, and then I guess maybe LGD, maybe Kev. I don't know. Between those two teams, I haven't watched the Chinese qualifiers in a while, so I have no opinion on those two. But that's kind of what it looks like for China. Then we have some of the other regions that are in the middle of their qualifiers that have not been determined at all yet. We've been covering Western Europe, so we can start with that one. You have any predictions? Who's the two teams making it through for Riyadh Masters? We got Secret, Entity, Mouse, Navi Jr., Dandelions, and I would say Twisted Minds. Yeah, Twisted Minds beat Just Better, so they're coming through the lower bracket right now.
Honestly, I feel like Entity +1. That's my gut read. And I don't know who that plus. I feel like Entity Secret is statistically the most likely, and they've looked the best. But this Mouse squad has some weird drafts, man. They have like some weird push strat stuff going on that we saw today. And that cheesy stuff, if you're not playing well, it just steamrolls you in some of these high pressure games. So I don't know, man. Like Secret looked good, but I could see Mouse beat them in like a lower, if it's like a lower bracket final to get to that grand final, I could see Mouse knock them out. I could see that, man. So it's just only one slot, right? I was looking at this earlier. Is it 2 or is it 1?
There is 2 slots for Western Europe.
It is 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's that lower bracket final, I think Secret will actually get eliminated. But I think Secret has a decent chance of just qualifying through the upper, and then I'd give it to Secret, Entity in the lower. That's who I'm going with.
Okay. I feel probably about the same. MENA, there's not too much to talk about. It's PSG Quest versus Nigma. You think Nigma's gonna get through, Avery? Are you a Nigma hater? Because
I'm not
that's
a hater. I want to see that team on land. They're fun as hell to watch. They have cool players, dope names, dope style. I mean, you can't hate on that team. Everybody wants to see them play.
Just had a conversation recently with the Insania and AEY, who both very much back the team, and Insania went so far as to say he hates all Nigma haters. So
I mean, that's bullshit. Like, come on, bro. These guys just want to see him on land because they're confident they're going to beat him. That's just some backhanded smack talk. They're like, yeah, come to land, Nigma. I'll beat your ass because I'm familiar with you.
You're the one who said all the Western European teams will always beat PSG Quest because they play too slow.
Nigma's not a Western European team, brother.
No, I'm
they're
saying,
a MENA team.
You say that's bullshit because the Western European players know that they will beat Nigma.
Well, they'll beat PSG Quest.
All right.
But do you rather beat Miracle on land? That's like something you can add on to your legacy, Like, damn, beat him back in 2017, and I'm going to beat him in 2024. Nothing's changed, Beating Miracle, I'm sure some of these guys think like that. They got some beef with Kuro or something. I don't know. They all think they're friends, but like, give me a break, man. Those rivalries go back to 8 years ago in Europe. Those guys would love to beat him. They ain't got no beef with PSG Quest. They're just a good up and coming team with some good players trying to prove themselves. Nobody's got beef with Noob or TA2000. This Kuro guy, man. Ooh, that's some juice. You beat that man on land. That's like extracting old demons from the war chest. You know what I'm saying? You're like, I'm gonna get this guy from beating me on all these qualifiers. He thought he was hot shit on that Liquid squad, winning TI, win all these lands. Oh, I'm gonna get some payback now. Look, these Liquid boys. Look who's Liquid now. Look, it's me, your old demon. I guarantee you, there's some satisfaction there. So of course they're gonna root for him. Of course, there's no satisfaction in beating PSG Quest. There's no beef there.
All right, South America. Any favorites there? We got 2 teams. I'm assuming it's gonna be Heroic and Boom. I'm a big Pacaz fan, so I'm hoping Boom gets through. Though it would be really cool to see Midas Club go through. That's the all-Brazilian squad with King RD, 40R, Costa Bile, the guys who have been around for 15 years playing Dota.
They have been around. That is absolutely true. Maybe that's some minor success, but never really hit it big. I feel like that team is kind of just playing to play, have fun, gel with each other, see what they can do, but I wouldn't expect them to get through here. But it's interregionals. You never know. I do expect Heroic to go through no matter what. I think they're very far ahead in terms of the consistency, at least. And that counts for a lot in these qualifiers. That second slot's a bit more open, but yeah, it would be cool to see Boom have another chance. They did show up at that last LAN, top 8, underdog. Called it out, point for me. But, we're not talking about any of that.
All right, Avery. It's time for you to call another one. Last region. The last region, North America. You said you never want to talk. You never want to talk about this team again. Well, you're gonna have to talk about this team one more time. Shopify
that series is gonna go to 5 games. It is like
Nouns.
Okay, I said last time though, I think Nouns is gonna win. I still think Nouns is gonna win. I think they're gonna win that series, even with this honeymoon phase. No, there's no way, dude. There's no way.
I will tell you right now, Shopify is winning game 3 right now.
What? I don't care. It's gonna go game 5. Nouns is gonna win it. Like, my issue with Nouns is I actually think they're the better team. I think they play most of these games better. But damn, does that squad throw? Like, I don't know if you watched that upper bracket match between them, but that game 2,
I heard was like very throwy.
That was one of the most thrown games I've ever seen in my life. Like, literally, you're up 20K with Aegis, and it was just solo jump in suicide after solo jump in suicide into pointless buyback, into terrible dieback, into misspells, into catastrophic team fight up a hill, into everybody's dead, into more solo buyback pickoffs, into you just lost the game in 3 minutes, up like 20K with Aegis. You could have just ended it with like one good jump. That team just throws the hell out of games. I don't know what their problem is. They got to fix that shit, though, because that is, I swear, they're playing better in most of these games. Like the first 30 minutes, they're just playing better. And then they flip a switch, and it's not the good switch. I'll tell you that, man. It's like the high voltage straight to their brains. They just go crazy. Maybe it's like the Gunner effect. That guy's just an insane player. I don't know what it is, but
Gunner effect. Damn.
Somebody on that team's got to rein it in. And I'm looking at the supports because Copy's a new mid. Like Yuma's he's just playing an aggressive carry. Gunner's an absolute wild card. That's what you brought him on for. Your stable players are supposed to be Lelis and Fly. So like, especially Fly, right? But Lelis at this point too, he's been around the block. He's captain teams. He's a shot caller. These two guys need to rein some of these young dogs in, man, because they're running rampant over the place. And these throws are killing them in these series, killing the morale. Like, I'm calling them out, I feel like I can call these boys out because it's my region. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? Giving Shopify free tickets to the fair at this point. Like, just go buy a corn dog down at the gas station, save us all some time. Shit's getting out of control, man.
Wild horses, man. Hard to break those wild horses.
I don't mind aggressive gameplay, but like there's times in the game where you risk stuff and there's times where you don't. And they're just like risking crazy solo plays for shit that has no purpose and no progress in the game. So yeah, I'm calling them out, but I still think they're going to win. Still think they're going to win this game 5, It's going to go game 5. It always goes to game 5.
Game 3 is a 90-10. So
I don't care. I don't care what it is. It's going game 5. It always goes game 5. And I think they're going to, they're going to pull it out. As I'm saying this, I don't believe it, but like, I believe.
It's no longer a 90-10. I think the game might be over.
I'm standing by my conviction. You're not gonna persuade me with this one.
All right,
man of my word, man of honor.
By the time you guys are watching this, the qualifiers will obviously already be done. And
I will be right yet again.
And
Austin will look very foolish.
Will be right. Maybe. All right. Last thing to wrap up here. We'll come back again for another episode later this week to recap the rest of the qualifiers that we didn't cover that are not done just yet. But that'll be next episode. Also for next episode, we want to hear from you guys who are listening right now to the show. If you guys have any questions or any topics that you would like Avery specifically to talk about.
Oh, God. Nothing political, just for the record. Let's keep it to Dota. Let's keep it to Dota, or
I mean,
like
we don't have to keep it to Dota.
general topics that are, not. I don't want to hear the conspiracy theories in the comments. Okay, I don't want to.
No. Please give me your conspiracy theories. We get to choose which question. It's not like
All right, that's fine. That's
the
fine.
question is going to be forced on you.
Okay, whatever. Sure.
So
whatever
you
want.
ask whatever questions you want in chat, and we'll just see what I pick.
That's right. Austin will pick something. I will be forced to answer it contractually, and then you guys can dictate my life. Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly. Tundra has it in the contract that Avery has to have at least one rant per episode. We're going to outsource that rant to you guys and your questions. So thank you for watching another episode of Not For Broadcast. Don't forget to leave comments, and we'll be back later that week for the rest of Riyadh Qualifiers. Goodbye.